Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and the major Bitcoin metrics and alts. So with that being said, let's get it. All right, so you guys know how we do. We're going to start with the major metrics here, then we'll get into the charts. Okay, so CoinMarketCap is booming right now. If you guys are wondering where to find these coins at, you can find them on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. Or sorry, did I say CoinMarketCap? I meant CoinGecko. We use this one, but you guys can find it on here. So look, I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Okay, the best times to buy, in my opinion, is on the 7 day when you see everything and its brother in the red, -20, -10, -30% or more. Those are the best days to buy. Based on the previous last 7 days, I would say is not the best time to buy. If you're already in positions, it may be the best time to consider to hold. Because prices may either be getting ready to go higher or pull back. In my opinion, I think they're probably going to go higher. Again, not financial advice. But yeah, anyways, if you guys want to find coins, this is one way to do it. It's coingecko.com. All right, so Google search term for crypto. We are moving up. Do I think we're at a top yet? No, I don't. I think we're just getting warmed up. Again, I mean, it's only November, guys. Like, I can go back over I don't have it pulled up today, but I can go back over the Bitcoin monthly returns. Whenever September has been bullish, which is rare for Bitcoin and crypto throughout it. Well, for Bitcoin specifically, throughout its history, it has always led to a green October, November, December. Okay, so I don't think we're done yet. Again, next month is supposed to be really bullish too, and Thanksgiving is right around the corner. You guys already know all this. So same thing with Bitcoin. Like we told you back here when it was at the lows, if you got into anything in crypto back here at these lows, you were getting in early. Now we are seeing the actual pump here. Retail is starting to FOMO in. But again, I think we're not even close to the top because, again, we considered these high levels for a long time, right? So for Bitcoin alone, we had 3 major peaks here in early 2021, which in this case, during this cycle, that would be early 2025. So, like I said, again, I don't think we've even really gotten started yet. And we saw one back here in kind of June 2022, and you can see November 2021. Of course, Bitcoin always has to go first, and then the alts, or Ethereum and the alts, I should say, would pop off afterwards. So fear and greed. We're in extreme greed. Slight pullback on this one. Not too concerned about the short term. Again, I do want to reiterate, when we get into these extreme greed or fear areas, we're usually there for quite some time. Again, December 2023, we're sitting kind of in the 70 to 90 area for like 6 months, okay, before we eventually came down here for like not quite 6 months, but like 3-4 months, right? So we just now entered into this territory. I don't think we're going to be pulling back anytime soon out of this. I think it's going to kind of bob around in between maybe 60, 70 to 90, somewhere in there for quite a while, maybe until like March, April of next year. MVRV, like I told you guys forever, this is, or I should say, well, it still is cheap, but it's not as cheap as it was. But now it's starting to move up. So again, we're looking for this thing to get into these boxes here or close to them before theoretically Bitcoin should be pretty close to a top. And again, we're not even close to that. So based on this, I would say we still likely have a lot of room to run. Bitcoin rainbow chart. Told you guys forever that when we're sitting in the blue box or the blue line here after the halving, that eventually we would rip to the upside. You guys are currently seeing that literally every single halving cycle. This has happened. The halving, then sideways in the blue, and then boom, halving, sideways in blue, boom, so on and so on, right? So we're seeing that now. Still says sitting and accumulate. I think we could probably maybe go as high as, I would say, somewhere probably in between HODL and is this a bubble. I think those are definitely possible. You guys already know that our targets are basically around 140,000 to 225,000, and it's possible maybe Bitcoin goes up to 140,000 like by, I don't know, maybe by like February or March or something like that. Or even January, just kind of chops around up there for a little bit before having like a mid-cycle dump. And then the second half of the rip of the parabolic phase sends us absolutely skyrocketing to the moon. Maybe it's a 220, 250,000 by November of next year. Okay, so Nupal chart, we are starting to slowly push up here. Again, we It's usually not any kind of major topping signal unless this thing gets in euphoria and greed, and we're still quite a ways away from it. I mean, we're not cheap by any means, but we're not in the euphoria and greed yet, so we still have some room to run. Pi cycle top indicator, we're starting to push very, very fast up to that green line. The thing I want to point out here, again, like I told you guys before, when we were under the yellow line in a bull trend, that usually means eventually we're going to come back above it. Okay, every single time it happened. So the next thing that we need to look at here is when it gets above the green line. That's going to be the last final push for basically the parabolic phase of the run. Now, whether we get a 2017 style run or a 2021 run, where basically 2017 was basically just one big long run, whereas 2021 was a double peak, that remains to be seen. Based on how fast this is going up, I would say there's a chance maybe we get a double peak, or maybe not. Maybe it just goes straight up to 500K over the next 12 to 13 months, and we get a 2017 style run. You guys got to remember, when this 2017 2016 style run happened, Trump was in office most of that time. Okay. Trump was not in office most of the time during the double peak run. That was when Biden was in office and still is in office, with the exception of 2020. So again, we need to get past the green line to really start ripping, and that line as of right now is 122,000. So again, I will say somewhere between 120 to 140,000 is where I think Bitcoin could hit some temporary resistance before maybe chopping, pulling back a little bit, and then eventually taking off to the moon. Okay, so M2 money supply, this one's pretty straightforward. As long as the blue line is going up and the green hills here are going up, we are in a bull trend. That's pretty much what happened last time Bitcoin took off for the moon. Of course, you guys already know we're doing that right now too. So it's a pretty sharp dip here in the blue line, M2 money supply. Am I worried about it? Not really. I mean, look, here's the reality. The president of the United States is the most powerful man on the planet, okay? Because again, the United States is the world's most powerful economic and military country in the world, right? Literally number one. Number one in terms of GDP, number one in terms of military power, and even if the United States was not, they still have NATO, right? So whoever the current sitting president is at the time, if they tell the Fed, hey, you got to cut rates, or we're going to get rid of you, we're going to get somebody else, you can be sure they're going to do it, okay? So when they do it, what are all the banks around the world going to do? They're probably going to cut rates. So we should see this blue line go up, and then, of course, the green hills and the black line keep going up too. Okay, so talked about this one before. So this is basically the top app searches or something like that. I don't know how often this is updated, maybe every day or something, but pretty much what we're looking for here is anything crypto related to get into the top 10 to kind of be a signal for some kind of either local top or, all-time high or something like that. So the thing that we have closest to that right now, and again, these have moved up quite a bit since the last time we talked about this. Coinbase is at 34. Cash App, Block, which I believe you can buy and sell Bitcoin on this, is at 37. Then you also have, you have another crypto wallet here, okay? And crypto.com. So we're kind of slowly pushing up there. Again, I think we still got some room to run. We're not quite at the top yet, but again, the idea here is that we wanted to be in crypto, or still want to be in crypto, before eventually these get into the top 10. Because once they get into the top 10 or even the top 3, top 5, something like that, that's usually a screaming sign to maybe consider taking profit, because we might be getting a serious pullback at that point. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go over Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin's still pushing up here. We have this bull pennant it's more obvious on the daily time frame, okay? So we maybe get some kind of pullback into the top of this pennant. Again, the target for the pennant is 108,000, roughly about 110,000. Might get a temporary pullback into the EMAs where the price goes down and the EMAs come up and they kind of meet, and then boom, Bitcoin takes off again. It's likely going to hit that target. Okay, we got to get to 120,000 on the Pi cycle top indicator just to get to the green EMA. So I would say, not a guarantee, but pretty much a guarantee that it's probably going to go up there. Okay. So there's that. And the next thing I want to go over here is the weekly candles. So we got three big green candles here. But again, I do want to point this out. We go over here on the last cycle. Last time we got the breakout from the all-time highs, we got we got three green weekly candles and then a pullback. Do I think we're going to get a pullback this week? Probably not. Oh, actually, sorry, y'all, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong price action here. So we actually got 4 weekly green candles in 2021, okay, before getting a serious pullback. And I mean, it was a pretty large pullback. I mean, it wasn't small by any means. Again, if the way that we're playing this is, if our coins are already in profit, we're either going to add to them when they're roughly around break even. But if they get like way above break even, we're not going to touch it. And if they're still under break even, then we'll add to it. But as soon as they start taking off, we're simply not going to add anymore. Okay. We basically will either at some point take profit or wait for some serious pullback like this to load more or load new positions, whatever the case may be. You guys can do what you want to, but that's kind of how we're doing it. So I want to go back over here over 2017 as well. So once we got the break of the all-time highs, which, I mean, we really got to go back in time to see this. You can see the all-time highs from 2013 there. Once we got that break, we did go up for quite some time. Technically, actually, yeah, I guess this green one, maybe, you know what? I'll say this one right here is probably the breakout candle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of green before a big pullback, okay? And then Bitcoin took off, and I'm not really counting this as a red candle because it actually closed higher, even though it is red. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, essentially in a row of green. Big pullback, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, big pullback. And then yet again for the final leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, big pullback, and then the bear market, right? So you guys can see at a minimum here, we'd be looking at least 4 weeks. So I do not think we're at a local top yet for Bitcoin. I don't see that happening. Okay, so we're going to do the fibs now, local levels here. So I think it could go up to 117,000. Again, that kind of lines up with the 120 to 140,000 on the 2.618, 3.618 before some kind of pullback. Could go as high as 160,000. I mean, that's what the local level is saying. We'll have to wait and see about that. The macro levels is way different, so that's a lot larger. Is it possible that the price of Bitcoin could go past the macro Fibonacci retracement? Absolutely, that could always happen. So 110, 160, roughly about 220 and 250,000. Of course, we also do have this. I don't know why it does this. I really hate that. Man, I really hate that TradingView keeps doing this. Okay, sorry, y'all. So we have the lining up of these tops here. Okay, 2017, 2021, and then, of course, I got to zoom in here to see it again because it's kind of ridiculous. So, I mean, yeah, this thing, assuming that Bitcoin maybe tops out like, I don't know, January, February, 115,000, it could easily go above it. I mean, we got the institutions buying and national Bitcoin stockpile. All the other countries are going to FOMO in. I mean, anything could happen here. We could easily break this resistance, but going out in time here towards kind of the end of, let's see, the end of next year, it says 125,000. Do I think we're going to stop there? Personally, probably not. I think this line will most likely be broken. I don't see this support or this resistance up here holding. Okay. All right. So there's that. I will say that Bitcoin is a little overextended from the EMAs. Does it mean that it can't go higher? No, it does not. But I do want to make you aware of this, that if Bitcoin were to pull back on the weekly time frame, it'd be about a 28% pullback just to get back to kind of retesting this area we broke out of in the EMAs. It doesn't necessarily have to pull back that far. I mean, maybe on the daily time frame, and again, this is if we see a pullback in the near future. Okay, we're still in the third week. Maybe on the daily it pulls back here, kind of to somewhere around this pennant level. maybe chops around sideways a little bit while the altcoins blast off, and then maybe eventually after Bitcoin's had a breather, it keeps going up. Okay, so Bitcoin dominance. So this one, you guys know we talked about the 60 level. That's kind of that breakdown from the last cycle. We hit it, and we're seeing some resistance currently. Some of these altcoins are exploding to the upside. It doesn't look as green now, but it's been very green over the last time that we had a refresher of this. But some of them are still blowing up. Okay, so XTZ, Mana, nice big gains here. Horizon, which is actually one we had, was also pretty large yesterday. It was like a 25% gain. Most of these were green yesterday as well, and also some of them are still green today. So I think probably what's likely going to happen is Bitcoin might just chop around for a while before pushing higher, or maybe a slight pullback into that kind of pennant pattern that we saw. And as it's pulling back and chopping sideways, altcoins are going to blast off, most likely is what's going to happen here until Bitcoin gets a breather, and then we eventually rip back to the upside. I think that could be a possibility. Absolutely. Okay, so of course I could be wrong. I mean, Bitcoin could go up for the rest of this week and basically all of the next weekly candle. That could happen too. So next thing I want to go over here is the total 3. So total 3, and again, I do want to point this out for y'all, is absolutely exploding. So in terms of where the targets could be here, and again, this is kind of a rough adjustment, and this is for the altcoin market, just so y'all know, strictly altcoins, not Ethereum or Bitcoin, okay? So from the breakout level here, we would be looking at adding roughly about another $500 billion to the market cap, which is huge. I mean, that's a big increase. If I just measure that basically from that green zone to about 1.5 trillion, that's another 75% up. But it could get even more ridiculous than that. Okay, if we do the Fibonacci's here, which these things are notorious for getting hit, you can see that the total 3 market cap would be almost $4 trillion by itself. If we are right about the 8 to 10 trillion being in crypto by the end of the cycle, and yes, I do think that FOMO could get that stupid with Trump being in office, with the Bitcoin National Stockpile, BlackRock, Fidelity, and all these other funds buying it. Plus, you got options on the spot Bitcoin ETFs right now, and if the Fed funds rates are at 0, we're printing money. The economy is extremely bullish. I mean, there's no telling what could happen. So total 2 looks like Ethereum might be starting to get a breakout here as well. Again, we got to get above that green line there. But the thing I want to point out here that I think matters the most is total 1 has had a breakout of the previous cycle highs. So in terms of the maximum move here, and this is another reason why I say we could hit 8 to 10 trillion. I know it seems ridiculous right now to say that that could happen, but I mean, guys, the market cap in the previous cycle at the peak was $3 trillion. Okay. The market cap in 2017, you can't even see it. It was so small. Look at this, 770 billion. Okay. So if you think it can happen, well, you really need to do your research. That's all I got to say about it. Okay. So top levels here on this one at 9 to 10.5 trillion dollars. Yes, you heard that correctly. And like I said, Bitcoin National Stockpile, countries start FOMOing in. It could easily happen. All right. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. I guess there is one other thing maybe I wanted to go over here with you guys before we close this out, and that would be the monthly candles. So nice big fat green monthly candle here. I mean, this thing is just absolutely ridiculous. But again, this is crypto. This is to be expected. 37% move on Bitcoin. Is it crazy to see a candle like this? I don't think so. Again, I mean, we've had some pretty insane candles before. I mean, this one candle at the top here was 37%. Before that, I think this one was even bigger. Yeah, this one was 73%. So another thing I want to point out to you guys on the monthly candles, look at this. So from the breakout of the cycle high of the last cycle, Bitcoin did actually go up for 4 months straight before having a pullback. Granted, some of those weeks might have been red, but the monthly candles, 4 months straight up, okay? In 2017, When we eventually got a break of those highs, you can see the highs way back there. What happened? 1, 2, 3, 4 months up before red. Okay. And then after that, we had another 3 months of all-time highs. So yeah, I mean, it's possible that Bitcoin could just keep marching for another 3 months to the upside, and altcoins explode with it. Okay, that could all happen simultaneously. So look, I'll tell you guys this. I don't want to get too deep into it, but we're thinking about getting into BCHG again. Again, BCHG is it's available on here. We may buy it, like maybe a few $1,000 or something like that. But kind of the focus right now is the altcoins and the Bitcoin miners. If for some reason we hit our profit targets and these are still relatively cheap, we may buy into it because, again, there's no telling when these things could pop off. It's very hard to predict when any of these crypto coins can pop off, okay, or anything in crypto, period. The only thing that can really be tracked with any measure of accuracy, in my opinion, is kind of the macro area of the space, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, the altcoin market, okay, bullish and bearish seasonality in crypto. I mean, those are the only things that can really be tracked with any semblance of accuracy. I think they're, trying to predict individual coins or individual whatever they may be that might pop off, like Coinbase, MicroStrategy, stuff like that. It's really hard to do, to know the exact timing of that. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.